guys all for joining. My name's Courtney Mark. I'm a lighting designer. Last 20 years, spent the last 8 years in Dubai. I specialize these days in hospitality and refurbishment projects, which to Dubai is quite new. So I'm going to dive in here. Can everybody hear me fine? Okay. So with Expo 2020 now literally at our front door, what does this mean for the hospitality industry and for refurbishments in the Middle East? In 2019, Index Hotel Market reported that there was 544 open-built hotels. Now, in 2021, that is estimated to be in the 600s. And this is despite a global pandemic. Obviously, Dubai handled the pandemic very well. And because of this growth, what that means, and this is just a little clip that shows you some of the prominent 5 stars. This is a list that's online. So out of that 544, there's a total of 100,744 hotel rooms in the Middle East. With that was 197 apartment units. So obviously we know here there's a lot of hotel apartments. So this is pretty great feedback. And now I would estimate that into the 600 plus. So just a little bit about, obviously our operators in the Middle East. Dubai is the most saturated in terms of hospitality. Vita, Radisson Blu, Accor, IHG, Fairmont, these are all very prominent hotels and have been in the region for quite some time. What that means for hospitality, again, that unprecedented growth means that some of these properties, and you would be surprised on the statistics, Radisson Blu, which we will be talking about in a bit, was built in 1975. So again, people are back, and what does that mean for us? It's time to renovate. So this is just a picture of Dubai Creek Harbor, one of the most famous places in Dubai. With renovation, what happens is it is a multi-level, very complex procedure. Not all hotels are fully renovated, meaning floors, ceilings, walls. And what that means is it requires a lot of knowledge and basic approach needs to be followed, aesthetically motivated. And what it does is a lot of times it omits the key factors that contribute to a good renovation, and particularly for lighting. So what this is for hoteliers and lighting designers and us, and I don't know how many, show of hands, how many is a lighting designer in the room? 3. I saw one in the back, okay. So what that means for us is new build was the thing in 2013. Now, 2021, new build has slowed down. And there is plentiful opportunities to renovate real historic properties. So let's get started a little bit, and I want to talk about the lack that I see in this region is on a clear integration plan. And what happens when there is not a clear integration plan is that we fall short. Both design falls short, the hotelier falls short. These necessary steps aren't followed, and so I break this down into 4 simple steps. And this is what I just say, this isn't necessarily regards to design, this is a hotelier's first approach. But what that is first is assess. So assessing, so you go to the job site, you assess the property, you calculate how much power is there, what does the operator actually want to do, determine the points that need to be revised. Now, that becomes more complicated when you have more of a historic property because you, again, are not necessarily going into the ceiling. So concept define the design identity is basically what that means. These factors should be carefully laid out and implemented by the architectural design team as a whole. And then you come into the planning. So this gets down to your budget, your details. Obviously now in the world that we live in, we have LED, and that's changed in the last 15 years in the most prominent source of product that we use. But it comes down to how do you then wire a ceiling that is going to be softly touched. So you have to put together your execution plan, and you have to work very closely with the contractor in order to make that work. So the renovation process is, for an upcoming property, is the opportunity for the hotelier, meaning the operators, to really set themselves above the rest. So you have to have these open dialogues and these conversations with them from the beginning to map out this plan and see how do you want that new property that's going to be renovated to draw away from some of these new builds that are just opening. So the lighting principles, and the lighting designers in the room know who this is. Anybody want to say? Okay, so we break this down, and this is again a very lighting design move, but ambient luminance, focal glow, play of brilliance. What that is very simple. Ambient illuminance is the ambient lighting in this space. So we talk about, as lighting designers, layers of light. So you need focal glow, which is, as you can see in the picture, it's focal moments, visual hierarchy. Play of brilliance is what I like to call sparkle, especially for interior space. And that's something that's of interest in the results in another layer that is very important. So your assignment, and yes, that's what these rolled up pieces of paper are on the tables. Your assignment is the Radisson Blu in Deer Creek, which was Dubai's first 5-star hotel, built in 1975. Just to give everybody a little bit on where that is, Dubai Creek, very famous, all the boats, but there's a very prominent property. It's probably one of the few architectural landmarks that I would say that is in Dubai that actually has a distinct style for the region. So design, what is a design approach? And if you want to take out the rolls and take the off. So because this property was built in 1975, it's very unique in that it has old wood marquetry. And see, these are some photos. These are site photos the day that we first assessed the site. As you can see, it's very old in character, feel, flavor, but what it does have that is very unique for Dubai is this beautiful marquetry on the ceilings, this marble detailing, very old, what we would say is a more antique chandelier. And then when we started the project, this is the first drawing that we received. This is pre-CAD, prior CAD. CAD didn't exist. This is a real blueprint that was a scanned copy of the as-built drawings from the first hotel installation. So what we had to do then is take that into actual drawings. And this project was very unique because we had to document the site. And if you can see in the printout, is actually my hand sketch drawing of doing a site analysis of where the AC units were, where the ducting is, where the sprinkler heads are, where the security cameras are, because all of that we could not touch. So what made this so difficult for Dubai standards is because, normally we can just take out the ceiling and we don't have to think about where each fixture's going, how is that going to be mounted to existing marquetry ceilings. So this just shows a little bit, and this is because this is kind of a brief for you, just to give you a little bit of, visual reference of some of the materials and changes. So what we did was, really try to bring some of this, arabesque flair, but also a more modern take on a heritage property. Bringing smooth accents, beautiful stones, backlit surfaces. And this is your materials palette. So if I go back one, you can kind of see where some of these materials start to play in. So beautifully rich green stones, marbles, soft color palettes bringing in that amber, kind of rusted amber tones. And this is, for us, this is what we need to light. So this is one of the inspirational mood imagery boards. Interior designers do this all the time. We work with them very closely in identifying, and what are the surfaces that we're going to light? What's the flavor? What's the flair? And this is what is then, of course, showed to our clients. Because it's a heritage property, it does have some very unique photography from the first owners, their grandparents basically that own the property. And so what we did was make a beautiful kind of Arabic tribute corner. So it's called the Arabic corner. But this is a midway rendering, not the final renderings, but this shows you kind of how we started looking at the lighting design. Again, another visual reference, and if I flip back, which I will in a bit, to the original photos, that fountain was this kind of old bird fountain, to birds come and drink water, and it's supposed to be in a garden. But that was what was inside, and so, how do you make that more monolithic and stand the test of time? So you'll see that, these accents, it's all about art and culture and about the creek, and how do you subtly bring that in? But this beautiful marquetry that is to the left, which has all of your times, Dubai, Beijing, Tokyo, how do you bring that in and make that not dated for the future in 5 years? So interior design-wise, this is very close to what the property looks like now. The first phase has just opened, and we will be getting into the second phase shortly. But again, a very different flair for an existing hotel, and because it's heritage, we really worked very hard to not disrupt the ceiling as much as possible. But what that means, and I didn't include that photo, but what that means is wiring. How do you wire something that was wired for 1975? Wow, I'm glad that in this region we have Dolly. Because with Dolly, you can loop 64 channels on one, and what we did was we ran a completely new Dolly loop throughout the ceiling, because these coffer pop-ups are removable, and we had to fish it through about 50 meters from the electrical room all the way to the fixtures. So you can see, technology-wise, these days, we're really advanced. And then all we had to do was replace and match a few of the coffers. So anywhere we took out a light, we replaced. And anywhere we had already surfaces, we left. So if you go to the property now, you'll see kind of a mix of old and new, but that's because the property is going through stages. So I've put together a quick fixture palette for you because I realize that some of you are not lighting designers. And so what this looks like, and this is more a visual cue for you, is that you can quickly look at this and assess, okay, maybe I would like to use a surface-mounted light because I don't want to put a downlight. Why would you not want to put a downlight? Because sometimes downlights will scallop the sides of a coffer. So that visually doesn't look appealing because it's distracting from what it's lighting. So I've done this, which I'll leave up on the board, and thank you very much. So what I'd like you to do, your assignment is, and I'm going to come down because this is very formal for me. I will come to you guys. So this is the first drawing. I'd like you to just kind of take a look at the drawings in general. These are the as-built drawings after the horrible scan that we got from 1975. And this shows you the basic layout. So where is the furniture? Where are the walls? This is your main entry point. This is your ceiling. And what this is showing right now is existing sprinkler locations. In this drawing, however, We've got everything from existing sprinklers to air ducts. And so it's just a little bit of kind of a jigsaw puzzle in trying to figure out where do I place things that I want to light, and how do I do that, and how many replacement panels will I need to fill in one space. So if you look at all the air diffusers, obviously we can't touch the air diffusers, they're there, it's the back MEP. But figure out where you would like to put lighting and what surfaces you'd like to light. And again, I can kind of go back. Why is this? Yeah, okay. Okay. I can kind of go back here, and obviously this has a lot of lighting layers already inside. But I thought this would be kind of a fun exercise because this is what we do as lighting designers every day. We are sometimes called magicians. We are sometimes called therapists. But what we actually do, and especially for renovations, it's not as easy as a blank canvas. So it's something that I thought would be quite interesting and new for this region in particular, is how do you design through minimum punctures in the ceiling and wastage. So I'm just going to kind of walk around and talk to you guys, and let me know if you want to talk about any of the design. Again, I'll go back to the fixture palette. Okay. So again, visual cues, nothing too serious. I'm not going to ask you how many watts this is and what kind of fixture it is, but obviously, number 14 is a battery-operated table lamp. So when you cannot pull wires somewhere, what is the best solution? Not always a table lamp, but a table lamp that's battery-operated. We're lucky that that exists these days. Surface-mounted accents. Where do you want to put downlights? If you're going to put downlights in, is it, it's a thought process that needs to be, kind of figured out and not just a simple grid. So where's the furniture against where are the wall surfaces? Where is their art? So what do you really want to focus on? And that's the point here, is that it's a layered lighting approach, but then what elements in the actual existing property do you want to retain and highlight, and what do you want to take away? Hi. Your table's going to fold. Okay. There we go. Okay. I'm going to just take this off. So this is basically my sketch from the first run through. Now this is, if you flip this sideways, this is the entry. So this is a different drawing, but if you look at this way, this is this. Only this was blueprint 1975, scan copy, and this is then the as-built drawings that we actually had to populate. So, yeah, so it becomes quite different, but again, you can see then on the next page where we've got, it's basically the same as this, but it has, yeah, exactly. So you have your cameras, you've got your sprinklers, you've got existing lights. So this is more of an exercise, is cross out what you don't need and then go back in based on the new interior setup. Yeah. Hello. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to flip this sideways. I'm going to move your coffee. So this is the entry, which we can kind of move away for now. But the quickest way to do this would be this. So you are here. You're basically looking at the original, markup locations, that's then translated onto here. But then you look at this and you look at this, and then you look at the, what's happening on the back wall surfaces, what's happening on the columns. Do you want to light the columns? Do you want to light the furniture, the art? And so what you do is then look at the plan in conjunction with that, Identify. So where do you not want lights? I would start with just Xing out. These are yes. So I've already X'd out obviously some, but these are the air ducts. These are your air. Yeah. And this is the new furnishing. Yeah. So the layout has changed, and if you look back this way back. Okay, so this is what that space looked like last year. Okay, so it's changing, but it's retaining the old heritage markation because this is a very, very popular property for the locals. Particularly, it's beautiful. It's beautiful views over the creek. It has this really family vibe, but it's also a 5-star hotel. So it's how do you lay this out so that you're focusing on the right things for the new atmosphere that is created? How to adapt the old into the new. Absolutely, yeah, exactly. Exactly. So you can see here, there's the cameras, there's the sprinklers, some of these are existing lights. As-built situation. What I always say is try to start from a clean slate. Hello. Okay, let me help you. So you see the jagged corners, right? And now you're at the jagged corners. So your plan is here, right? So basically what you're doing is this was the existing, this was the as-built plan with the new furniture layout. This is the ceiling, which is basically an interpretation of this, where all the existing services were. So this is how we start. Okay, so these are your video cameras, your sprinklers, your existing lights. And what I do, and this is why these are so, there's X's everywhere, is that let's take away and then relayer back what you think is going to be, better serve the new interior design layout. So keep in mind, you also have wall sconces and, floor lamps and these kind of things. But then how do you refigure a layout of a ceiling that is like this, that's complex, that is existing, that is solid, historic? So what you want to do is try to not just delete everything because then you have to replace, right? So you want to see, can I reutilize the same location or do I need to change it? Yeah? Okay. Hey. Yes. And this is the floor plan. And then this is your original drawing. So you're looking at it the same way now. This is your reception. This is your reception. This is the fountain, right? This is your lobby lounge area. This is the coffee area. And then, of course, over here is your lift lobby and the rest of the lounge. This is where you see those old pictures of the chandelier, right? Is that central location right in the center. Yeah, so look at this, and then, I don't know if you can see that these are all of these things, right? What I normally do is I start Xing, right? Because you want to see, okay, can I use this location or, It's like Jenga. Yeah. Yes, you can put lights wherever you want. Mm-hmm. So if you look at, you can't really see it here. It's about 3 meters by 3 meter panels. So they're the big windows that used to let all the light like into the lobby. So now what the interior designer did was she covered those with screens, and we did a nice plexi at the back, and we've backlit those. So originally, we did have up and down, trans-illuminate, save, right? But what happened was that the contractor went in and just went to whatever, LED World, bought a bunch of tubes, no names, put a bunch of tubes behind it, and so then I had to come in back and fight with them about it because it's like kind of the purpley pink. So then we went for an economical backlit product in the end, but yeah. No. No, you can. Yeah. No, you have to bring power. But it's like, how do you bring power to something that is... Cool. So this is all a bunch of small art. Well, it's old photos, like old historic photos from the family of the owners. And basically it's like kind of a heritage wall. So then, and it has this beautiful, the seating? The ceiling is flat, gypsum. Yeah, so all of the ceiling here is gypsum. Yeah. Hi. Show the places that you want to put lights. Like what you think from these images. And then obviously this is the, closer to the real rendering. So I'm going to step back to the site photos because, so this gives you a good idea of texture wall. If you want to start with this one, you can start with this one as well, which is just like this is your main entry as you come through, and then you're looking at, that is your focal point, right? So this is just, how would you address the lighting for this area? So obviously there's a fountain here, there's the back wall here, there's different, if you look at the plan, there is a plan, there you go, yeah. So you look at this, so this is your focal point. These are your two sides, this is your maitre d' and your bell. Arabic corners here, right? Which is nice old photos from the family that owned the hotel for like many generations ago. So it becomes this like whole collage of beautiful art. And then on the right side is all the Sheikh portraits. So you're entering here, your car drives up here, you drop off here, you come in here. You've got two focal points on either side. Different wall materials, of course. Not everything is treated the same. But then you've got your fountain here, which has become, instead of the kind of bird feeder fountain, which you have in a garden, which was the old style, now it's turned into a more monolithic piece. So if you look at that more closely, then how do you light that differently than you would if it was a bird feeder? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It has a layer of lacquer, so it's basically... No, it's the same ceiling. So see, it has a little bit of a sheen, but it's not super, it's kind of less lacquered than it used to be. I mean, I think they've refinished it a couple times. A little bit lighter, yeah. It looks a bit lighter now. But that's from prior to the renovation all the way to the left. So like, you can see, and so, yeah, it's a very kind of like dark mahogany sort of style. It reminds me of this hotel that is actually in New York. It's called the Marlton Hotel, and it used to be a poet's house. And you walk in, and again, it's like that really low ceilings. I mean, I can almost reach up and touch the ceiling here. It's very low. But now you see everybody's coming to gather because everyone sits in the lobby to work. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, um, there's some existing, but so that's actually what you have to identify too. Do you need floor boxes? Do you need like what do you have to bring in? And then in these instances, they already had floor boxes. So of course we looked, which you can't see here, but they already had in an area. We had to kind of chase the underneath all of the seating and bring them in more naturally. It's very difficult, yeah. So then what was done is actually, because this is carpeted floor, so the carpet was then changed, and it's now kind of a softer, this greenish, light green kind of upholstery, that's the tonality of the carpet, but what that really does is that brings up really nice light quality. Because it has a little bit of a sheen, it's still carpet, it's still quiet, but it picks up light really well. And in the renderings, it's sort of, you can kind of see it, but not really. It's and this is one draft before, but you sort of see that you're picking up the materials purposefully, but you're not just, it pops up, we're playing with shadow, we're not just lighting every square inch in a grid. So we start, playing with layers of light. Yes, exactly. And then it also picks up a little bit of light. So because it has a little bit of sheen, it kind of reacts like a reflected surface, which was great for the final look and feel. That's right. She does. Yeah, Jan does too. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, great. Yeah, he's Jan's Danish. Yeah, Jan's there as well. He's Danish. Yeah. Great. So this is the water feature if you come in, and which is these drawings. Yeah, and this is the like this. No, like this. You basically, your car drives up here, you come in, and so your focal point is at the end. Yeah, so. Yeah, so you're walking, yeah, you walk in here. So you're walking in here, and then this is your focal point, and then you go right to the hotel lobby, and actually left is the boulevard, which is now turning into an all-day dining, and that's where the shops are. And so within that property, there's actually multiple F&Bs. There's about 7. Yeah. 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 Exactly. Yeah. So you see that this is kind of your view down. So then, where do you place the lights to get the most bang for your buck? More inviting. Yeah. So where's the end point? Yeah. Okay. Good. So what do you got so far? Okay. Mhm. And then, so what's happening here? So this back wall, that's your lobby back wall, right? Your reception desks are right below you. Yeah. So it's basically this. So, always the focal point in hotels is the receptionist. You want them to look good. You want their backdrop to look nice. You want them to be inviting and friendly, right? So how would you do that? Would you light the back wall? Would you integrate into them? Would you light from the floor? Would you light them from the ceiling? So if you look at here now, there's all these lights. So obviously you don't need all of those. So it's just about selecting the locations that are the most prominent and the most, relevant to what you're trying to highlight. Sure. I can't get it. Oh, wait, there we go. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. So we like to talk about a balance between light and shadow as designers all the time. And so darkness is your friend, not the enemy, right? But what you want to do is just is think about contrast, right? But if everything's lit harmoniously, you can't see anything. It's like what I call, it's called the cream cheese effect, right? The cream cheese effect is when it's just blinding. It's like, some areas, some retail store that just everything's too prominent, like ones that aren't lit right. Yeah. Yeah. How you doing? You need a... Are we on time? Time? So what did you decide? Okay. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. What about this back wall space? So because you're walking in and it's your receptionist, right? With these counters. Mm-hmm. Okay. Great. Good. Keep going. So yeah, they do. If you look here, right? Those.
Because it's not positioned here all the way. Because if you see, for example, this one, this panel,
So the ones with the X were actually not existing on site.
not existing.
No, because they're X'd out because those are the wrong locations. So when we did the site analysis and walked through the space, all of these downlights were not there. These were. This was.
Okay.
This was. But all of those didn't actually exist anymore.
Okay, so the as-built was wrong.
Of course, yeah, yeah. So sometimes that obviously that happens. So when you get these as-built drawings, you have to go to site and you have to check because it's not, yeah. Okay. Is that time?
We have one main point. Now, the position of all the lighting has been in place, but how do you choose the colors?
How do you choose?
How do you choose the colors? Some are kind of reddish, whitish, or how do
Oh, for the color of the light. Well, if you look at your furniture palette, see a lot of the wood, right? So what do you want to light wood? You want a warmer color tone, because if you light wood with like a 6500K, right? If we're talking about color temperature, very very white light, it's going to start turning a bit more dingy gray, right? So it's not as going to feel as warm and inviting. So you're talking about the physical color temperature of the lights. Yeah. So what's rendered here is 2700K, which is on the very warm spectrum, and the reason we do that is because we want the space to feel warm and cozy and inviting.
And also, you mentioned earlier that you don't want to destroy the walls or the ceilings.
So you can decide to take out some of the light. So this drawing, right? This is basically all these X's. Actually, the lights didn't exist when we went to site. So we got this rough drawing. We took it to site. Me and my team, we sat down. Where are the actual lights, right? Speakers, AC, vents, and these are actually the location of the lights, not where all the X's are. So then this was then taken into this. So then you can see these two lights are these two lights, right? Now, but the question is, do you really want those? Are they lighting anything? Are they helping? Are they doing anything for the space? Or do you want to take those out? If there's a piece of art on this back wall, is that the right location? Or should you go into the center? Or should you use an existing location that's here? So that's the thing that you kind of, it's, I call it a bit of Jenga, right? It's because you're trying to determine what you want to keep, what you want to replace, and what you need to then eventually fill. So like any time you take one of these out, we can't take obviously the AC out, not the AV, which is your cameras, but you can take out some of the lights and shift them around. So then you start to do a quantity check on how many replacement panels are you going to need for the entire ceiling. Yeah. Hello. Having fun.
Why did you use why did you use the light without light?
No. Mm-mm. No, the projectors, it's just the angle at which the downlights are at. So if you're right close to the same coffer, right, you can't get the angle, so you only have like a 35-degree adjustability, right? So it's less flexible. It's just more flexibility. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Cove light here, not here. This is the skylight, but this is the dome. Yeah. Yeah, there is. I don't know where did I leave it? Did I leave the clicker with you? With you? Ah. mirror sculpture for your end piece. So then how do you light a mirror when you can't light a mirror? Yeah. Yeah, there's kind of like art sitting on the table, but yeah. Hmm. But do you want to do a halo on a polished marble? Okay. Okay. Cool. Looks good. And you want to put them here versus outside, or keep the ceiling clean? This is your choice. Yeah. So this is a flat ceiling. This is a flat ceiling. Um, mhm. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Cool. You pass. Okay. Uh huh. That's a nice idea. Yeah. Yeah, of course. This is again your design, so you can do what you think works well. So if you're coming here, you'd like a chandelier here. Okay. Yeah. Mhm. So integrated here or in the ceiling? In the ceiling. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So here. Great. Okay. That this is just what we put in, but so that's what that shows. But because you're doing a central chandelier here, then I would say this would be too much, right? Then you have the competing elements that are going too much. So then what you do is you say, okay, no, I don't think we want to do that. I think we'll take those out. But then how are you lighting the arts on the back wall surfaces, which are shown? Mm-hmm. The separation? Okay, very nice. Yeah, it's nice. The only thing you have to think about is with an existing property, going into the floor is quite difficult if you're not replacing the floor. So in a new property where you can kind of pick up and you can actually go into the floor from the beginning, that's great. In a property that's existing, where you can't go into the floor because they're retaining the floor and just resurfacing, then you have to think, oh, okay, so I can't do that. So then what would you do instead if you couldn't go into the floor? Great. Okay. Yeah.
To think about the process in general,
Mm-hmm.
when the process first starts, just first to pick up what is aligned with the furniture in terms of what is existing and what is need to be removed, and
Mm-hmm.
just remove what is should be. And then the process start, okay, so now what we have currently, do a lighting analysis again and make sure where we have missed
Items and elements, yeah.
exactly, and elements, and they start to pop up here and there where it could be related to the existing point which is not needed. So we can use the same maybe lighting point or whatever in order to project
Yeah.
into those elements.
Absolutely. A lot of time what I do is I go in and I start doing this, right?
Yeah,
These kind of like just these kind of circles on the page, right?
exactly.
And I say, okay, this, I want some light here. I
Yeah,
want some light
exactly.
here.
So this,
I want some focus here,
exactly.
right? And so I start zoning this out, and then I go back and I reevaluate
Exactly.
what's
This
happening.
is what I'm doing actually. We are just applying first. Okay, for this location, maybe the downlights might be not needed, so we have to
Right,
remove this.
exactly, exactly.
So exactly, and then move back into the next step. And then
Right, exactly, exactly. That's a good approach. Okay. So I think that's about time, everyone. So thank you very much for participating in my little workshop. Have a great day, and I hope you learned a little something about renovation that you didn't know before.